welcome to my bookshelf, and today I wanted to talk to you guys about Annihilation. I plan to compare both the book and the movie. I am now about to go into spoilers. I don't think I can really finish this review without jumping into specific spoilers for both the book and movie, so spoiler warning. So, the themes. I would say that the theme of the book is more about doubt. Like, doubt in a lot of different ways. So, one, just doubting your own senses and what you're seeing and hearing and feeling, how that can be changed. In the book, there's this whole subplot, which is not in the movie, about hypnosis. Now, everyone that goes in there knows that they're being hypnotized, but they're told that the hypnosis is just to help keep them calm and things like that. There's also another subplot where our main character is no longer able to be hypnotized because she breathes in these spores, and so she's no longer prone to hypnosis. So she's able to witness what's really going on, potentially. But there's also kind of doubt cast on that. Like, what if the spores really made her hallucinate a lot of things? Like, maybe what's happening now isn't actually real as far as like reality, like what's really, really happening. So maybe she's become paranoid and delusional because of the spores. Or it could be how the character kind of presents it to you, which is, you know, the spores have kind of opened her eyes to what's really happening now. And she can really see her surroundings for what they really are now. But before, she wasn't really seeing it because part of the hypnosis that she finds out was to force them to see things differently. It's a really interesting theme of casting doubt not only on ourselves and our perceptions, but also, I think, even just doubting our own sanity as well. And us as a reader even, we're kind of told to doubt our narrator, the biologist. So there is a couple parts in the story where the biologist is telling the story and she kind of breaks the fourth wall, if you will, and she says, you know, look, up to this point, I've kind of left out this kind of important detail, but I just thought if I told you this earlier, you might not believe everything I told you up to this point, you know, and I really want to make it clear, you know, that this really happened and yada yada, but now for me to tell you the story, I have to tell you this information. So she divulges something that she, you know, she held on, you know, she kept it secret from us until this part of the story. So it's really introducing this idea of us even doubting this account of what happened. Because we know that she's kept things from us. She's lied to us. Or altered things just a little bit in order to make her story more palatable for us. And more believable in some senses. And because of that, because we're privy to the fact that she's done this, it really makes us doubt anything she's told us. There could be so much she's lied to us about or altered in her favor. We don't know. There's more things that could be happening with this than we know about. Something that happens in both the book and the movie is that weird, bizarre, it's such a weird scene in the movie where that, I guess it's an alien? In the movie it makes it more obvious that it's like copying her, but I don't think we see it really officially mimic like her per se. But you get the idea through other things that happen in the book that people have been mimicked, and we don't necessarily know if it's that thing or something else that's mimicking them. But there's like doppelgangers of people running around, and it's kind of created some chaos with some previous expeditions that came in there, including the one with her husband. It's just a very bizarre sequence, but I mean, I'm even just wondering right now, like, how do we know that the rest of the story isn't actually told by the doppelganger? How would we know? We wouldn't. Ultimately, I think that's more of a theme of the book. Obviously, there's probably other themes as well, but that's something that really sticks out to me in a couple different ways that it's kind of demonstrated to us. So we're not really sure what's happening in Area X. It's very unclear in the book. And again, that just kind of goes into the whole doubt theme. So that's kind of the general gist of the book. The movie doesn't really delve into any of that. Like I said, it doesn't have these plot lines of all this doubt. There's no hypnosis. There's not really this sense that the narrator is lying to us per se, but there is, well, there maybe is a little bit of it. There's kind of a question at the end of whether the person that came back is really the main character or not, or if it's really the copy or doppelganger person thing. So I guess there is a little bit of that now that I'm thinking about it. But I wouldn't say it's the main theme of the movie. I would say the main theme of the movie is, and I think I heard this from an interview from one of them, but self-destruction. So I like that in the movie, every person that goes into Area X, they have their own journey, and it's different for everyone. And everyone has their own reasons for going into Area X, and that's explored a little bit more in the movie. And ultimately, it's kind of very poetic in a sense of like the things that happen to them are very fitting for like their reasoning for going into the Area X. The movie focuses, I think, more on your own personal motivations and maybe the baggage that you bring with you and how that is reflected in their experiences within this Area X. And in the movie, they talk about what's really happening in Area X seems to be some kind of refraction or echo of everything. So what I mean by that is there's a great scene in the movie that kind of initially gets you thinking about this, is that there's an alligator or crocodile, I can never tell the difference between the two, it's attacking them, but they discover when they open up its mouth that the teeth are arranged like a shark. So it's taking an aspect, it's like crossbreeding them almost, but like across species, which is not possible normally. But this is science fiction, so in Area X that's possible. It's almost like happening through the air or through the light or something, you know? It doesn't need to be bred in the same way that we would normally do it. It's really interesting, and so that one seems fairly tame, and then there's some really bizarre, horrifying scenes. Yeah. So there's that weird bear thing that has like a skull-like head, and instead of like growling like a bear, you hear a human voice come out of it screaming for help, and I'm pretty sure that the bear killed that person, so it's almost like it took on her last cries for help, and it's like now a part of this weird creature that killed her. And that scene is terrifying. That's one of the scenes where you're like, yeah, someone's meeting their demise here. Like, it's a very horrifying scene to watch, and it's really well done. It really adds to suspense and terror, but it's hard to watch because of that. But yeah, I think that's a really great example of this weird combination or refraction or echo of things that are happening. Because the person's no longer even alive at that point, like she died, but we're still hearing her voice and her screaming out for help. And it really works. Again, it really brings Area X to life in this horrifying way. It's also kind of cool in the sense that even the people that have died and passed away, like they're still like kind of alive in some senses almost within Area X. They're just kind of being like echoed or refracted off in a different way. It's kind of the idea of like, oh, when you die and you get buried, then you can kind of like turn into that tree, like you become the fertilizer for the tree then, and you're kind of maybe living on through the tree. It's kind of like that, but like on steroids. Like, it's a crazy idea, so it's kind of poetic in a way of kind of maybe nature coming together and being a part of each other and creating something new and different. And again, I don't think it's trying to say that this thing is like evil or sinister per se, but just that, like all things in nature, I mean, even with like our normal real life nature that we have, there's some terrifying things, some dangerous, horrifying creatures and animals that, you know, would kill us if we got too close to it because they're predators. Like, that's just what they do. So these animals are extra horrifying because of their new and twisted echoes that have been attached to them, but they're still animals, you know, and so it's not inherently evil or bad, it's just different than what we're used to. I really enjoyed the movie, even though it's freaky and weird. I enjoyed the risks that it took, and I like that it did take risks. I like that it didn't tone it down to make it more palatable to a general audience, because it really is not palatable to a general audience. It really isn't, but it's trying to do something, and I think it does it well. Like, it's different from the book. It really, really is. But it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just different. Kind of like the whole Area X thing, you know? It's different, but that doesn't mean it's inherently bad. It's just different. I've only read the first book in this trilogy. I have not completed the series, so even though I didn't really love the first book, I'm still kind of curious to see where the series goes, because it's already going in a different direction than the movie. The book ends with our main character heading to this island that's within Area X to try to discover, I guess, what's there. There's no mention of an island at all in the movie, and that does not happen. The movie kind of leaves you on a cliffhanger of like wondering whether this is the doppelganger that's been telling us this entire story the entire time, which kind of goes into my theory about the book. But it just kind of leaves you not sure, but it doesn't necessarily leave you on a cliffhanger in the sense of like, ooh, what's going to happen next? This is clearly the setup for another movie, because it doesn't feel like that. It feels like a standalone movie. So like I said, ultimately I think it has different goals, and I think it'd be really interesting to see the rest of the series and to see if it really works as a whole, or if it falls apart because the writing just doesn't fully work without the proper characterization. Alright, so those are my thoughts and feelings on Annihilation, the book and the movie. Please let me know which one you enjoyed better. And as always, I just want to thank you guys so much for watching this video, and until next time.